Welcome to WrestleWolf. This is AEW Weekly. I am Dr. Damian Gibson, and joining me, as always, is the man who only joins in Kayfabe and absolutely nothing else. It's Matthew Kayfabe.
Hello, how are you going? I feel we should let the viewers, the listeners, I feel we should let the listeners become viewers and peek behind the audio curtain and to the fact that this is the first In Bed with Madonna edition of WrestleWolf, as I am currently in bed.
Yeah, it's pretty sexy. It's Warren Beatty is in bed with Matt as well, which is
well, you know,
which is strange.
It's not strange if you know the way I live my life, as Warren Beatty's concubine. I'm just glad that we've already got it out of the way a minute in, the word concubine. That's our WrestleWolf word of the week. We've got people. I hope that the listeners can't hear various yellings and talkings in the background. Additional people in our home, additional children.
The Kayfabe family reunion is happening this week.
Yeah.
And because Matthew is the patriarch now, basically because of the success of our podcast, the Kayfabe family have come flocking this year.
It's true. It's just me and the guy from that Terry Funk video who starts crying and says that it's still real to him. It's real to us, man.
Yeah, that guy is the mascot of our podcast. I think he's been mentioned on more than 5 occasions in different episodes.
Yeah, my cousin Thomas Kayfabe.
Yeah, Thomas Kayfabe. Hey, just quickly before we get into AEW, I threw out a quick poll about Dalton Castle from Ring of Honor, where people think he'll go, and I gave 4 different options: WWE, AEW, New Japan, or Impact. And the poll was completely split, 25%.
Oh, really?
So it was pointless. Everyone's very, very split about where he'll go.
He's coming to AEW. He might go to New Japan as well, but he's coming to AEW.
Yeah, you'd think. I just don't know whether WWE is the right fit for Dalton Castle. I can see the Jay White rumors to WWE being a lot more having a lot more solid ground to stand on than Dalton Castle. Although I'd really like Jay White to either stay in New Japan or come to AEW. He was the highlight of Wrestle Kingdom this year. There was a lot of good things that happened, but he was.
I think Jay White's staying in New Japan. I think this is all a work.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of. Who knows? He is definitely like their big star as far as heels are concerned, and has really grown. I mean, I essentially only see these people like once a year. So in the last 2 years, Jay White's gone from sort of an annoying little Kiwi dude to like, oh no, this guy's legit. This is a legit heel. So he'll end up somewhere in the States, I'm sure, if he wants to. He might be Will Ospreay and not want to leave Japan, but anyway, they're both great, and hopefully they both show up in AEW soon. I did have notes for Impact, but I mean, really, the notes were Tennille Dashwood has a hairspray gimmick that is awesome. So it's essentially like an old school, like 80s Japanese,
love it,
mouth spit spray.
Yeah.
Thing, you know, like Japanese wrestlers always have like green spray, or like Oscar does it now. Tennille has a can of hairspray that is continuously handed to her by her manager.
Well, I know you've never been to Japan, but it does, on the streets of Tokyo, like you are probably going to get green mist spat into your eyes.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Cool. Well, I don't know. I've got mixed feelings about that.
You'll be like permanently damaged by it, but you know, it's still cool.
Shit. Yeah, it is pretty cool. Rich Swann cut a a pretty amazing promo just before another match with Carl Anderson. So he's had like, that's like almost 3 weeks in a row where those guys have wrestled, which is kind of strange. But anyway, I understand they're trying to hold off Kenny Omega for the pay-per-view, which is Saturday, which is tonight, our time. Tonight, American time. You guys know what I mean. It's Saturday night, American time. And I'm very much looking forward to that pay-per-view. I'm starting to become an Impact fan. I like there's quite a few, but I like Moose. I like the Motor City Machine Guns. I like Tennille Dashwood, obviously. That's something I do get slightly patriotic about, is Australian wrestlers. That's the only time I get sort of nationalistic, is when I see an Australian wrestler doing well. I'm like, yeah, come on, Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Yeah, and then there was a brawl at the end of Impact between the two 3-man tag teams. You know what they do on Impact quickly, just before we get into Dynamite, that I think is revolutionary and all wrestling promotions should take up? It's the way that they shoot people watching TV. So they essentially will have a camera behind the TV, so you can see a little bit of the TV in the bottom of the frame, and then just shooting the wrestlers watching the TV. So then you don't have these ridiculous things on WWE where you've got people doing, like, you know, grade 10 yoga to try and watch the screen that they're watching.
Yeah, look, it's not a bad call.
It's great. I mean, it's very demo. It's tiny. It's like the minutiae of wrestling, but it just irritates me, and Impact do a really good job of it. So anyway, they're doing good stuff. And, you know,
the 2020 promotion of the year.
Yeah, it's WrestleWars promotion of the year. I was just about to say that. So we had a huge start on Dynamite this week, where it just went straight into a video package of Eddie Kingston versus Pac, and then the match just started between these two, which I was really, really into.
Who would have thought that you and I would both be really into this particular match?
Well, I was kind of, I did have this moment of like, man, Pac's really good. You know, like, he's really good. He was so wasted at WWE. Like, I mean, I'm in a pretty good mood today, so I'm not in the mood for bashing WWE, but it was just like, they just don't know what they've got. I've been reading a lot about Aleister Black's contract situation this week, and Ricochet as well, and it's just like,
my favourite Irish wrestler, Ricochet, who will definitely be on AEW at some point.
Maybe by the end of the month, man, if reports are correct.
Ooh.
Yeah, well, his contract, like the places like Cultaholic and What Culture that I trust quite a bit are reporting that the word is his contract finishes at the end of January. So, and he's not happy.
Yeah, why the fuck would he be happy?
Oh, man, like, it's unbelievable. And it seems that, like, the older Vince gets, and I'm sure maybe people who are older than me might be able to point to other wrestlers, you know, but it seems the older he gets, the more cantankerous he gets, and if you get on the wrong side of him, you know, like, I mean, Aleister Black is being punished because his wife, Selena Vega, stood up to Vince about the Twitch stuff.
But Aleister Black was already misused, like, since leaving NXT, like... But onto Pac. So let's not fall into the WWE bash.
Yeah, I know, we do it every week.
Onto Pac Park, whatever his name is.
I'm going with Pac. It's just way easier to say.
He's so good that he's actually criminally underused, and in AEW as well. Like, there's actually no way to not underuse him unless he is doing 35-minute matches every single show for the top title. He's so good. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true. I think AEW are doing a pretty good job at the moment. I like the Eddie Kingston Pac rivalry. They're still trying to shove Lance Archer in here, and that might be the angle that they're going with eventually, is Pac versus Lance Archer.
Which would be a pretty like sick match.
Yeah.
Lance Archer's good in the ring, man.
He's just, I don't hate him. This isn't an SCU situation, but I'm just not. It's kind of more of a Cesaro Dolph Ziggler situation where it's like, yeah, I recognize that you are good and I recognize that people like you, but it just when I see you, nothing happens, you know?
You might have just lost us listeners by saying that about Cesaro.
Yeah, no, I get it all the time. People are like, what? But I'm like, I don't hate Cesaro. I like him as a dude. He seems really funny and nice, but I think, it's like when you see him interviewed and stuff, and like in the bar for a little bit, I was probably a bit more interested in him. But I would ask anyone, what is he? Like, tell me what he is. In the 10 years that he's been in WWE, what is his gimmick? What's his motivation? Like, he's just...
Superman.
Yeah, but have we even seen that?
He was James Bond.
We haven't even seen that. He hasn't even been James Bond for a while. He just hasn't been booked to show what he can do. So, after a while... trust me, I was watching Raw and SmackDown every week for... fucking 10 years.
Those NXT TakeOver Sami Zayn matches are among the greatest WWE matches ever put on.
Oh, hang on. Did I say Sami Zayn or Cesaro?
Cesaro. But these versus Sami Zayn, Cesaro, Sami Zayn.
Oh, right.
Like
I
those
haven't seen that. I'm talking about main roster Cesaro.
Well,
I'm sure if he came to AEW and was allowed to, was given a gimmick and was allowed time to, anyway. So Pat gets the win in this match. Lance Archer comes in and says that they better get on the same page.
Yep.
I don't know what that was about.
Yep. We'll find out.
I'm really interested to see what you think of this next match. Miro versus Chuck Taylor, which Miro won essentially almost kind of a squash match.
Yeah.
And then we kind of almost got the Miro that we want. What did you
I agree.
think of this?
We kind of got the Miro we want. Like, it was good. It was... I'm not sure why Miro is involved in an increasing amount of... Like, I feel like next week they're going to be like, he's got a butler. He's the best man at this wedding. Now he also has a pet. This is his chihuahua. Don't ever try and steal the chihuahua. Like, they're going for, like, every shitty little gimmick that they can possibly do. But you know what? Like, I don't mind it. I think like Chuck Taylor in this role will be good. It keeps the best friends on TV sort of, Trent's away. It hopefully means Chuck Taylor is wearing some kind of tuxedo or shirt at least.
Yeah, tuxedo shirt
to cover my body. Yeah, it was good. I really liked it. I was glad. It's exactly what I wanted.
Miro's character is starting to come across a little bit like a Reese Witherspoon from the early noughties, It's like Miro's the best man at his best friend's wedding until he gets a butler, Chuck Taylor.
I thought you were...
And comedy in shoes. There's a record scratch.
I thought you were saying he's just he's attractive, but not attractive enough to admit that you find him attractive to your mates.
Well, at the risk of... I don't care. I'll tell anyone anything. It's like... what I did notice, not to sound like an Aussie Rules and an AFL football commentator who are obsessed with young man's hair and hair colour, but as soon as I saw Miro had dyed the blonde out of his hair, I was like, good. Traditional values. Getting back to basics.
You sounded a bit more like a racist politician than I think you intended.
Oh, what? Why?
Well, just the getting back to basics. Not really racist. That's not fair. I just associate conservative politicians with...
How footy commentators are always... Like, if you don't have a short back and sides... And even then, if the top is a bit too long, they're like the drill sergeant from The Simpsons. A haircut you can set your watch to.
I'm a believer that, like, if you're going to have a crazy haircut and be a professional athlete, or you're going to have, like, fluoro shoes or whatever, you've got to be good enough to justify it.
Yeah, but if you're an 18-year-old the likelihood is you're going to have a stupid, long, shaggy haircut, right? Like, that's just a rite of passage. And then these guys come into...
Just because you were walking around looking like Rod Stewart at 18 doesn't mean...
I had a fucking good haircut. I'm not talking about my amazing Rod Stewart haircut. I'm talking about... like, you know, just like a surfer dude, typical Aussie surfer dude who just let his hair grow a bit long because he's, you know, girls like it at that age.
Let's move on.
Look, 65-year-old men sitting in a box at the footy, spending the majority of their afternoon talking about young men's hair.
This is incomprehensible to all our listeners in Louisiana.
Maybe they... I'm sure it's the same in other sports as well, where they're constantly talking about, you know, things that are superfluous to the actual sport.
They wear helmets in American football.
It's just very... yeah, I'm just saying, it's very homoerotic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm with you. Next
up, so after Miro sort of reappearing as Miro, or Rusev, whatever you want to call him, I was pretty happy with that. And then the Inner Circle got back into form with their New Year's resolutions.
This was very good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. There's quite a bit to unpack here. So MJF and Jericho are a tag team, officially. Ortiz and Santana were quite unhappy about their resolution to go after the tag team titles.
Which I thought was great, because it sort of gave them, like, you know, a bit of motivation and a bit of character, a bit of story.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Sammy and Jake Hager get to go together because they're Sammy Hager. But even the way that was delivered, where Jericho was super excited and no one else in the Inner Circle knew what he was talking about because they're all 20 years younger than him, I thought was really great.
It was, and given that Jericho's
because I was the same, I was like, Sammy Hager, and then I realized, like, oh yeah, these guys are all 24 years old. They've got no idea what
except for the fact that they're standing in the ring with a guy whose character is Sammy Hager.
Yeah.
Can I just say, I don't want to, like, you know, it's a bit lame to, like, just repeat jokes and stuff, but I'm just gonna plant, like, I'm gonna put something down right now and let it sit, and we can return to it in coming weeks. But I think that the crowd singing along to Jericho's theme, because of the wrestlers doing it, has become completely confected and bad. And, like, I don't want to see, like, Billy Gunn's Doofus children broing out to the Judas song. Like, it is WWE levels of crap. I'm going to put it down, and, like, maybe that's, you know, maybe they prove me wrong once more people start getting into the crowds and stuff. But at this point, I'm a bit concerned that it's jumped the shark, or le shark, as Chris Jericho may like to say.
You know what annoys me about Judas at the moment is when they sing the last line twice when it should be once.
That affects me as well.
As an ex-musician, I'm like, no, I want to stop the rehearsal. We're like, no, I've told you guys, it's just once. Why are we singing it twice? And goes, Judas in my mind. That's it. Once it gets that bit, you know. Anyway. And then you've got bloody Tony and they're such you know what they are, those two? They gaslight people.
What? Oh, they
JR and Tony. Where they're sitting there and they're like, should we talk over this? We shouldn't talk over this. And then they just continue to talk over this. It's like, just, God, you're the worst. Anyway, so basically all of the Inner Circle are tagging up next week and having a 3-way tag match.
Great.
And Wardlow's being left out. I just wanted to pick up on a really small bit of storytelling in this as well that I thought was really good. That I don't know whether it was last week's episode or the week before, where it was when, I think it was last week, where MJF went around and spoke to, like, Jake Hager, and then I think maybe the week before he spoke to Santana and Ortiz and, like, really won them over by being quite genuine and stuff. And then in this segment where Sammy, who's been anti-MJF the whole time, was like, "Shut up, MJF," blah 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 blah, and then those three stood up for MJF.
Hager said he was a good guy.
Yeah, and then even like, which was great. That's like just great. I mean, WWE, please just watch this. You know what I mean? Get some pointers. And then MJF couldn't help himself to turn around and went, "Oh, he's cool," and winked at the camera. I'm like, "Oh man, you're the best. You are so good at this. It's unbelievable." I love this segment. I feel like it's a return to form of the Inner Circle. I think Sammy's going to be a face eventually out of this, and I can actually see him being quite a good babyface.
Yeah, I agree.
Which I never thought I'd say with Sammy Guevara.
No, because he was quite a poor babyface when he debuted.
Yeah, initially, yeah. And then it's been so good as like a shit-eating, arrogant little shit. Looks like Hangman Page is going to join the Dark Order, so you'll be happy.
I think that's perfectly fine for a little while. Like, they're not what they were. Like, I think Hangman Page, Colt Cabana, and John Silver could have a lot of fun in the mid-card for a while. Like, Hangman Page's trajectory is that Kenny Omega's this, total shit-eating, world-beating champion who, cheats even though he probably doesn't really need to, and he's undefeated, and then eventually his old tag team partner stares him down in like 12 months, 13 months, and buckshot lariats him to hell and beats him, and it's a massive moment in front of a crowd. Until then, giving Hangman Page a bit of personality, letting him do the funny stuff, and letting him, defend John Silver when, big people try and bully him and stuff is good. That's good. And, to be honest, the Dark Order are now sort of sentimental favourites that everyone wants to see do well, I think. That's obviously unfortunate how they got there, but that's definitely the case. And I think having Hangman Page be the sort of proxy leader is of a very different kind of Dark Order that, has been emerging, is not a terrible thing.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not 100% into it, but I can also see why it's happening. My only worry, it's not only because I'm worried, is that it kind of holds Hangman Page back. That's the only... That's the only thing I'm worried about. I
think that it will be a massive moment when everyone's like, fuck, like Kenny Omega's such a, he's being such a prick, and then when Hangman Page stares him down, no matter what he's like, he could be in dog food matches or, like WWE rubbish, and the moment he's standing opposite Kenny Omega is going to be a big thing. So I think giving him a bit of personality and a, fun storyline for us all to enjoy is a good thing.
Next up, we had the Elite versus the Varsity Blondes and Danny Limelight, who I've never heard of before until this.
You're not a Danny Limelight fan.
I can't tell if you're being serious or not.
No, I've never heard of him.
So we got swerved at the beginning of this match where there was a little scene between Kenny Omega and the Bucks, the gorilla position, and Don Callis was like, "Oh, we'll go out first, and then I'll announce you guys. We like your theme music and stuff." I got completely swerved. I did not. So Don Callis comes out and is like, "Ladies and gentlemen, Kenny Omega's best friends, the Good Brothers." And then the Good Brothers came out, and I was like, "Nah, I got swerved, bro."
Yeah. It was good. I thought it was, good storytelling. It's obviously gonna lead to probably an Impact pay-per-view match between the Bucks and the Good Brothers, I'm assuming.
Yeah, maybe. That's well, I'm into that. So the Elite, we got the win here. But it was more what happened afterwards, where Jon Moxley came down to try and reap some revenge. Joined by the Lucha Brothers.
Yeah, cool.
Which was kind of explained as like, it's AEW versus Impact. I'm like, okay, cool.
I'm into it.
And then the young Bucks, or as Ross Twiddle on Cultaholic nicknamed them this week, the Young Cucks, just came out and like was trying to appease everybody. But as Ross was pointing out, that like they were sticking up for the people who had just screwed them over. Anyway,
it's okay.
You know, they're all friends and stuff. So, but anyway, the Lucha Brothers super kicked them to hell. So I'm hoping that's a match we get to see pretty soon.
Yep. And Vengeful John Moxley remains sick. I'm the 180 John Moxley fan that is Matthew Kayfabe.
Well, like, I mean, it swings to his strengths, right? Like, he's when he's angry and pissed off and like full of swagger, and that's when he's at his best. He is kind of like a little stone cold.
Yep,
in that way,
absolutely.
And I also love that right at the end, Kenny and Don, like at Don Callis' behest, Kenny runs off and is kind of in two minds about whether to stick around and help the Good Brothers, but ends up running off anyway.
Yeah. No, it's good.
Yeah, this is all good storytelling. Was really into it. Next up, we had the debut of The Waiting Room, Britt Baker's talk show, which, man, there was so much happened here. I enjoyed this. You know who is my favorite at the moment in every interaction that I see is Reba or Rebel.
Yeah, her doing the really dorky laughing and like she's very good.
And being like this kind of like lecherous like horn bag to all the male wrestlers is awesome. It's such a reversal of like wrestling tropes for the last 40 years. Yeah. It was Cody almost corpsed in the middle of it when she came over and wrapped her leg around him. I really enjoyed it. I'd seen it a couple of times on Dark and was a bit like, oh, I don't know if this is, but I think it's fun.
I think anything that straight up says that like we don't give a shit about you having a baby, Cody Rhodes, is good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great that they got Cody on the first one on Dynamite, and he was obviously a really good sport for letting like Britt say whatever the fuck she wanted about Cody and Brandy. We've still got Jade Cagle, is it?
Jade Cagle would be
sorry.
Something else entirely.
Well, anyway, Jade comes in and she's still talking about Shaq and how she wants to wrestle someone. Red Velvet comes in and faces off with her. So we've got a storyline there that some people may care about. I probably don't.
Yeah, it's not for me, but that's okay.
And then Thunder Rosa came up on the big screen and called out Britt Baker and her big nose, which seems to be Thunder Rosa's only go-to insult for Britt. So we probably need to work on a few other zingers there for Thunder Rosa. But as far as besides that, I love her, and I can't. They made the match like. This is going to be at Beach Bash, which is in 2-3 weeks' time, I think they said.
I believe so.
So really, I mean, ultimately, as far as these talk show segments are concerned, this was a success. We've announced the end of one feud and kicked off another feud. And they're both women's stories. So that's...
Yep. I think it's...
that's a success as far as I'm concerned.
I can only agree with you.
FTR vs Jurassic Express. What did we think of this?
I thought it was fine. I don't have a lot of deep analysis or thoughts. I thought it was a good wrestling match, but whatever. Yeah,
I think Marco took a lot of really big bumps this week. I just can't. I tried this week. I was like, all right, I'm just going to sit down and objectively watch this match. And everyone was talking about how it's a great match and the commentators were building it up and stuff. And I was like, there's a scene in Family Guy where Peter Griffin, no, I'm not one for quoting Family Guy often, but he's just like, he's talking about how terrible a play is, and it cuts to him in the front row of a play, and he's like, I'm very aware that I'm watching acting right now. And And I just feel that way every time Marco's wrestling. Like, I'm really aware that I'm watching fake fighting.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
And that's not, it's not. I like Marco. He seems like fun and like he's funny and stuff at times. And and I don't want to be that. I don't want to be
it's
that
a bit Spike
guy
Dudley.
that's like, he's little. I don't
like
get
it's a
it.
bit Spike Dudley. Like it could be
a little bit. Yeah,
we just got to give it a chance.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, FTR got the win here mainly because of Tully, which again I wasn't a huge fan of. I just feel like it makes FTR look a little weak that they had to cheat to beat a 12-year-old boy, but I mean, that's being very nitpicking, but if you're getting FTR over from WWE as the best tag team in the world and blah, 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 and you're going to put them in a mid-card feud with Jurassic Express, that's fine, but it should be proper Jurassic Express from now on. I don't want to see the best tag team in the world, as far as like Kayfabe is concerned, top guys, best tag team in the world, blah, but I don't want to see them wrestling children.
Nope, agreed.
Next up, we had Tate Cont versus Serena Deeb for the NWA Championship. What do we think of this one, Mr. Kayfabe?
This was a good match. I think, I don't have a huge. I think Tate Conti's got a big upside. Serena Deeb's probably exactly where she should be, which is great. Which champion of a tiny promotion. But that's I think she's really good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was just a pure match. It was good.
Probably there's not really much I can add to that. I just, I know it was the second last match on the show. I just worry a little bit for NWA that maybe the title's getting lost in the wash a little bit. Like it's it's just sort of accepted now that the NWA Women's belt is on AEW. Which, I don't know, in one way it's great that it's being defended and it's still relevant and blah, 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 because NWA aren't doing anything at the moment. But anyway, I'm sure at some point Billy will transcend from the third dimension and let us know what's happening with NWA. But yeah, this match was fine.
I mean, I'd rather be Serena Deeb than Nick Smeldus. That's right. Smeldus.
Hey, you're hurting my feelings. Next up, we had Brian Cage challenging Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. A bit happened here. Yeah. What did you think of this? This is you're on Team Taz.
Yeah, I think it was a good match. I'm like in on Darby at the moment because he's not doing the stupid bullshit with him letting Steve-O kick him in the dick and being like, I've got 2 packs of gobstoppers and I'm going to put them all in my mouth at once and it's just as long as he's not doing that, I'm cool with him. I don't know if Darby Allin's totally aware of the fact that all those guys from Jackass, things didn't go all that well for them. And also, they haven't been cool since 2003, and it's arguable whether they were cool then. They were just popular. But anyway, moving on from that, because it's irrelevant to this, absolutely. This was a really, really good match. Both of these guys fucking kill. I think they made the right decision on Darby winning. I don't think Cage lost anything. Yeah, it was good. How about you? HBU?
I enjoyed... everything about this match was predictable, but in an enjoyable way.
Yep, agreed.
In the sense of Taz is going to be on commentary, Brian Cage is going to throw Darby Allin around. I'm trying to think of something not as cliched as a rag doll, but I can't think of it. I mean, that's the most apt analogy for the way Darby Allin was beaten up in this match. And Sting was going to appear and, ward off Team Taz. At some point, as much as Sting is looking really, really big because everyone just runs off every time he walks out, and if you've been following wrestling for as long as we have, that makes sense. Maybe from a younger point of view, it makes Team Taz look weak because it's just one dude and there's 5 of them.
Well, I imagine they're hurtling towards a tag team match with Sting and Darby and Ricky and Cage.
Yeah, maybe. The only thing that just went Sting on Unrestricted was talking about doing cinematic matches. So,
Oh, okay. Oh,
like
we'll
that
see.
when Tony Khan called him up, that they had conversations about doing cinematic matches. So, yeah, it was fine. I'm into it. Like I didn't hate it or anything, but yeah, I don't know. It just not to sound too much like a smug. It was just like, oh well, this is exactly how I expected this to go.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, Darby Allin's still champion. That's probably right. I kind of want to see Team Taz, someone in that group, do something that isn't losing soon.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But yeah, not everyone can win all the time. Anyway, that's the end of Dynamite, my friend.
That's it.
So yes, if you're listening to this, thank you. You can continue to support us by rating and reviewing, subscribing. You can follow us on YouTube. Subscribe there as well. You can follow us on social media. We're WrestleWolfPod on all the socials, or you can send us an email at WrestleWolfPodcast@gmail.com. But until next week, brother friends, Pepe is dead.
Rest in peace.